off air.
Yeah, we're live. We're live.
Are we live?
Yes, we're live.
We're live. Hi, guys.
Hello.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Hello, humans.
So, I've got a very boring show for y'all tonight.
I know, we couldn't come up with anything to talk about on the
There
show.
was nothing that really GW did in this last couple days. It's been pretty laid back. Just joking, an FAQ dropped, and oh my God, firestorms everywhere on every single page I've looked at.
Correct.
I think the world has ended. What do y'all think? Has the world ended, guys?
Yeah.
I don't know if it necessarily.
You know what?
But it's definitely set ablaze.
Let me grill. I think I got an army I got to throw in there.
I wonder how many people had armies that just became obsolete.
I don't think really a lot of armies became obsolete unless you like really did a horrible job designing your army.
Like 16 plague hurlers?
Well, that could have been a problem.
Man, who does that nowadays?
6 squads of obliterators.
I don't know. I just don't see like any top lists that have, I mean, tyrant spam's gone. That's probably the main one with the rule of 3. I mean, the rule of 3 is kind of huge. I think that's, you know, it's kind of funny that everyone's, you know, talking about it. I see people know with the beta rule, and I'm like, no, it actually says replace this in the rule book. If you go to the big rule book FAQ, you know, it's like replace it with this chart for match play and organized play. So I don't know. I don't think like I'm not that much of a competitive player, and to be honest with you, I'm more of a fluff type player, but I've never really ever put more than like 3 of a particular unit in my armies anyways. What about y'all?
I do not.
I think I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Like what unit would you have spammed more than 3 of, Jonathan? Wasn't a true choice.
Well, I got 4 baby carriers for my Grey Knights. They're not going to be able to be used now.
Yeah, they are. 2 Grandmasters and then 3 normal ones. Hello?
Oh, look at you. So smart.
But just remember this, Jonathan. That leads into the next main rule is the next beta rule is what can't you do now? You can't deep strike all 5 of them.
Well, you can deep strike as long as it's 50% or higher, and it can't be turn 1 though.
I mean, turn 1 you can deep strike in your own deployment zone, but I don't know who wants to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I could see 6 obliterators. I didn't want to get shot off the table. I put them on reserve, deep striking them and fire away.
Yeah. I mean, obliterators, though, I mean, yeah, that's really not going to hurt you too much, I don't think, with the blitz. I mean, so I hope everyone's seen the FAQ. I really do. So y'all just want to start at the top. We'll talk about psychic focus.
Yep.
I don't foresee. I thought maybe they were going to do like a beta rule where you can maybe cast, you know, the same psychic power more than once a turn and would kind of escalate. But I guess they just went with the smite one, you know. And I think it's good though that Codex Grey Knights and Thousand Suns don't have that ability. When you cast smite, that it goes up more than once because really their smite is not a normal smite. I do play Grey Knight, so you know there's only a couple units in there that actually can cast a normal smite. So you'll have those go up from 5 to 6, and then after that you'll be using the Brotherhood of Psychers. So I didn't really see that. I mean, we've been playing it. How long is that? The beta rule's been out forever now. We've been playing that rule for like 3 or 4 months now, so I don't really see it as a huge change.
Was that in effect at LVO? Or I feel like it was. I think because I only had like one guy that had smite ever come into the case.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's been in effect for a while now. I mean, it came out in the chapter approved, right? Was the beta rule?
Yeah, I think so.
So I mean, it's been out since chapter approved came out in what, like November or something.
Yeah.
So we've been running that forever now. So I don't see that as anything out of the ordinary. The next one was the targeting characters. I think it's been cleaned up now, which is much better than the wording it used to have. It was very confusing.
That needed to happen because Because people would use the hide a character. Oh, now you can't shoot my character because this other character is close hidden.
Yep.
Or pick the assassin that you need 6s to hit.
Yep.
There you go.
Oh, before we get too balls deep into this, I think we have somebody else who's on the chat with us, a new member.
Yes, we do.
FMP Wargamers. Felipe, you pointed at TJ.
Well, trying to point past him.
I'm trying to go past.
So,
stop it.
So, Alan, you want to introduce yourself, man?
How you guys doing? Alan Bailey. Been playing 40k/30k or Horse Heresy now for 24 years.
Whew.
Been playing since around end of 2nd edition. So I'm proud to be part of the group and hopefully get some games in.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, Alan does have a side gig that he does like all over the Houston area as a major tournament organizer too. So
I do. I run the local monthly tournament at Atomic Hobbies in Cypress, Texas. And then me and John Owens are co-owners of Warzone Houston, the first major GT event in the greater Houston area.
You guys
what's that going on?
That is going on the first week of July.
Yes, it is.
It is.
You know the only reason why I can go, Alan, is because my birthday is July 5th, and I told my wife that's my birthday present. So she can't argue against me.
It's always good whenever you can use that as an excuse.
Yes, it is. Especially to go gaming.
Yeah, it's going to be July 6th, 7th, and 8th is where we have the rooms reserved. 40K tournament is classified as a major ITC event for the 7th and 8th. We also have a super awesome narrative Horse Heresy event that's going to be 24 players max, 12 per loyalist, 12 per traders, and actually be story driven instead of being your traditional let's just kill everybody and see who comes out on top. So super excited about it.
Awesome.
I am very excited about Warzone. Very excited. I had a blast last
Looks
year.
like we actually got a question for you, Alan, from David. He says, Hola, Alan. Are you coming to Alamo GT?
That is the plan. I plan on coming to Alamo. I'm trying to convince the wife now to let me go without complaining too much. She's spending a little time with her mother this weekend, so I can use that as a stepping stone to get myself into Alamo.
Nice.
Yeah.
Me, John, and TJ are going to Alamo as well.
We are.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're sharing a room.
Oh, dear God.
So, TJ, before again, more FAQ stuff, Andrew topped in and says, hey, TJ, top 5 Horse Heresy books, please, and the worst 2 books.
Oh, worst 2. I have only been, golly. You know what? You give me a second. Why don't y'all talk about the FAQ, and I'll go pull them, and I'll tell you. How's that sound?
What's your top 5?
My top 5. Oh, God. I'll just give you my worst 2. I'll go pull out the worst 2 that I really hated, because all of the other ones I've read have been really good. The worst 2 that I need to go look up again, I'll tell you what those are. I'll be right back.
All right. So let's continue on with that FAQ. So we got the targeting characters and psychic focus covered. So now we got the beta rules that are running around. So these are for the tactical reserves and the battle brother rules. These, in my opinion, for the beta are somewhat effective. The tactical reserves, I think, that's pretty potent.
I think that one alone kind of breaks the meta.
Yeah, it's huge because Alpha Strike was one of the key things, and Alpha Strike's gone.
Yep.
Melee Alpha Strike is gone, not ranged Alpha Strike.
Some cases. So think of like even Necrons, right? You have that one dynasty that half range you shoot. You use what's his name? The shard, but the trickster shard one. Right? You get D3 units, then you pop them all out there, and then you're half range, and you're unloading into them at like -1 -1 AP, so that's -2 per shot. That's pretty effective.
Yeah.
However, that's gone. So that's for shooting wise of that. And there's other shooting, obviously, that can be filled in to, make that good or not.
But when you're talking like guard, there's no change. In fact, it got better for them. Before, at least you could.
Oh, yeah. Because now you can't deep strike and ruin guard's day.
Yeah.
I think there's still going to be some armies with the exception of that, though.
Yeah. Let me see here. So going down, there's obviously some interchangeable with the, who can be part of the Battle Brothers kind of deal. So the big one is they're taking away the keywords. I think they're trying to get away from the soups.
Yep.
And that does resolve that soup issue. Now, the argument comes up. I've heard it from both sides, and it's all over with the conversation is you can have 3 detachments max, right?
Yes.
And each detachment you can have, say, for Chaos Space Marines, you can have Chaos, what's the Astartes? The bad Astartes, the next keyword?
Heretics?
Heretic Astartes, yes. So Heretic Astartes. So then you have that running with, just say, Black Legion. And the next one has Heretic Astartes, but it's from Death Guard, a different codex. But the argument comes from you can't do that because that's creating that soup again. Even though you're not using the keyword chaos, you're still using a different keyword, but it's coming from 2 different codexes.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong in the way I read it. The way I read it was the detachment can't be Chaos keyword, but could be Black Legion keyword.
Yeah.
The 3 separate detachments have to share a keyword. That keyword, because they're detachments, can be Chaos because it's the army. It's not the detachment's keyword.
Yeah.
So you can't use Chaos as a detachment's keyword specific, but for the entire army, yes, you can.
Yeah. The first time I read it similar to what Jonathan said, and that you can't use Chaos all the way through. But then when I reread it a couple times, I read it a lot, and then I reread through it, and it's your detachment can have Imperium, Chaos, or whatever. So I mean, as long as like your keyword in your detachment is like Heritage Astartes, you're fine, or like if it was Chaos and then Demons, you're fine in your detachment, and you can still blend those together because in the detachment it's not. So it's for each detachment that you can't have the keyword being Imperium. And I think I don't see many Chaos ones that it really hurts. I mainly see Inari ones, and then I see it hurting a lot of Imperium soup, where they're trying to put Greyfax, Crawl, and they're trying to take like that kind of thing that I've seen like the most people kind of fussing about right now.
I've seen armies to where people are taking, just as the example, they're taking the Chaos soup out with the Command HQ, which was you stick you stick Magnus in there, you stick a couple of Demon Princes of Nurgle Demons, you take a couple of Demon Princes, it's just Chaos keyword detachment right there. Everybody's already hating it because of that, but now you're souping it because you're pulling from the Demon Codex and from the Thousand Suns Codex all into there. Then you bring another detachment that's just soup.
Yep.
A soup complaint is the detachment's made up of different things from different sources rather than from one source, but it's from the overall general army.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's what's breaking it. That's what the Battle Brothers rule is for.
Yeah, and there is some Chaos stuff that you can do. It was pretty shenanigans. I want to say there was a gentleman that was at LVO. I think he got hit with a bat a little bit whenever he was playing his Alpha Legion army. I want to say he had an Alpha Legion detachment, World Leader detachment, and his last detachment was a soup detachment that had basically just, he had it for airmen, and then he had brimstones to basically fill out the rest as airmen and another cheap HQ. I think it was a company commander. So what people were doing was they were taking the idea of the whole soup and then maximizing, getting the cheapest units possible, buying the one major character they really wanted from that, from that keyword, and then maximizing the points that you get, the command points for the army.
Yeah. And
that's what really was, the guy did extremely well at LVO, and I want to say he had, I think he was game number 6. He lost by, it's kind of a technicality. The guy didn't know his rules per se, but he ended up losing that game. That's what kind of, part of the stuff that kind of led on to everything. So, and Eldar probably took the biggest hit from that, as from what I can tell.
So yeah, I think it's a good start. I think by GW to try to.
They're definitely involved. That's the key thing, right? I mean, they're super involved right now with that.
Oh yes.
People are calling this 8.5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that big of a change.
Yep.
If it's that big of a meta change, yeah, I think I'd buy it.
It's a big meta change. It's big.
So John, who couldn't make it today, he's also the newest member of FMP Wargamers as well. He is in chat because he's working. But John says here, the detachment soup is gone. No more Celestine assassins, scions in the same detachment. However, a detachment of Space Marines and a detachment of Custodes is good and is not soup.
It's, I think, what everyone's talking about too, because people say soup is still alive. I think I see that in the comments. And it is to a certain extent. Before, the keyword would let you take like a Chaos Lord and then a Renegade Commander and then Demons Brimstones to fill out your requirements for that one battalion. That's now gone. You can't do that anymore. But you can do a detachment, a battalion of strictly Chaos Space Marines, a detachment of Demons, and an attachment of Renegades. You can do that, but they each have to be their own entities, so to speak. So the soup is there. It's just not. It's going to cost players more points, and they have to rethink their army lists in order to build the same type of soup style lists.
Yeah, it's very true.
Like I personally am a huge Chaos player, so I obviously can speak to the Chaos side of things. I do have an army list that I'm currently working on that has Alpha Legion detachment. Based off of these changes, I have Alpha Legion, and World Eaters. That is pretty much the, so instead of it being some Alpha with some Chaos mixed, Corn mixed in, I can't do that anymore. Now it's, Alpha Legion, and then World Eaters. So that'll be my 3 detachments.
Gotcha. Yeah, yesterday, man, when I read the rule the first time, I thought it was the other way, and you couldn't have like your keyword out of the whole entire Battle Brother army list couldn't be like Imperium. I was like, oh, dear God. I was so pissed. I was like, there goes my Grey Knight Custody list I've been working on for Alamo GT. It's down the crapper. And I'm like, dear God, what am I going to do? And then I read it more times, and I was like, oh, that's not what it's saying. Thank God. Because I have them both, but they're in 2 separate detachments. So it's basically 2 different armies.
So what are your guys' thoughts? And Alan, since you're a TO, you can definitely speak a lot more on it. I personally like that all the tournaments and everything right now are embracing this, even the beta rule, and they're taking it with stride instead of just like, nah, we're going to throw that out until we figure it out. But most of the places are taking the beta rule and taking it. So everyone in the comments and stuff, tell me what your guys' opinion. And Alan, what do you think, man?
I think everyone's going to jump on board because for the most part, anytime GW has come out with any sort of beta rules, it's almost always been hard-coded. That becomes the new rule. So, yeah, it starts in beta. But really and truly, GW probably doesn't even need to do beta testing because they've already done beta testing. Really, those rules are pretty much live. So they give us the beta. This is just from what I've noticed. They give us the beta so that way we start changing. People got to start making new models. They got to start making a new list. Then it becomes hard-coded. The next FAQ that comes out, it'll be hard-coded into the new set of rules, but by then everyone's used to it. You know, it's like these changes now. Yes, the world was essentially lit on fire, and corn and Zinj came raining from the from the heavens and hell. But really and truly, all they did was it took people, broke their list. They had to rethink it, find a new way of breaking the rules. I'm not necessarily saying breaking the rules as they're doing it in the wrong way, but breaking the rules as in finding the best way to maximize and have the most efficient army they could possibly build. So for me, I think everyone, yeah, they're mad about it because the models they bought are pretty much null and void. They have to buy new models or change their list. And from what I've seen in the community here around the Houston area, is people are already finding holes. There's already a way to get a turn one charge. Bloodletter bomb is still a thing. You can't. So far they haven't got around that. You know that you talked about the Necrons earlier when we first started. They also have one. You know, the night side comes flying in. It drops off a guy from there. That guy summons more guys. So they effectively can also do the same concept. So people are just going to find a way to circumvent it, to still maximize it, to still come out on top. It's just the grand scheme of things. So the community embracing it, people like Alamo, Warzone, even Atomic Hobbies, you know, for our tournament. Yeah, I mean, why not embrace it? We know it's going to be hard-coded and it'll be the rules. And if it's not the rules, it'll just be minor tweaks to the rules that we are already playing with.
Yep.
Yeah, even the escalation league that we're running, that TJ's running, he's implementing the rule there. So even at the first of 500 points, you know, that's restricted down to the 2, right? Is that the number for it?
Yeah, 2.
So yeah, it'll be restricted until it obviously gets up to that next point break, which actually I don't think happens till 2,000 points.
No, it's what is it, 1,500?
I got it pulled up here.
Pull it up.
Oh yeah, so no. Okay, yeah, it's 1,001.
Yeah. 1,001 and up, so 2 per army. So I mean, yeah, I mean, plus I mean, I don't really see like, yeah, I guess I just can't see someone building an army where they're going to need like 3 of an elite choice at 1,000 points. You know, considering on the escalation league, of course, I'm running the escalation league more of new players, even old players, get used to using your new army. So I'm including, you know, for your initial build, you have to have an HQ, a troop choice, elite, fast attack, and heavy support. So it'll kind of give you a more rounded army, just in case. I've always thought that if you start collecting your army, kind of like getting a whole bunch of stuff together and then mixing, matching, and seeing what you're going to do, you're probably better in the long run than just like building a list and then building that list and just building that list, and then you may get to 2,000 points and your list is built, and then you play it the first 2 times and you're like, oh dear God, what was I thinking? You know, it's not working the way I thought in my head. What John say? I see no reason to implement beta rules. Yeah.
John O here. I currently see no reason not to implement beta rules, especially with Warzone Houston. It's going to be a major ITC, and other major game tournaments like Alamo are following the lead. Yep. I noticed that it's actually there's a lot of groups that I'm part of, and that's the biggest chat is they're all accepting it. So a lot of people are going to, you know, whinge about it. But overall, it is what it is, and you just kind of got to embrace it. And the meta changes always, so we just got to change with it.
Yeah, and all we do is we just adjust our, shift our army list, you know, have a different way of thinking. And the thought process that GW is coming up with, I think is great. I think it's, you know, they're trying to get it to a point where the game's more balanced. So even the underpowered armies that aren't doing so well still has a fighting chance to play against some of the armies that are typically top table.
Yeah. I agree. Pleases me. I like that they're involved because it feels like with their hands in the pot, it feels like they're constantly making sure that people are happy with what they have. You know, not just like, well, if I don't play Eldar, I'm screwed. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm not playing Eldar, I'm not going to win a tournament. This one's giving people opportunity, like TJ, who plays Grey Knights. I can't even complete the sentence. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's too hard.
I'm kidding.
I don't even complete that sentence. It's just, it's sad.
No, but it definitely, I think it helps everybody instead of just the power gamers, which that More power to power gamers because that's their fun, and figuring out the combos is excellent. Now this one just makes it where you actually have to figure out different combos, and it's a lot more difficult because now you have a lot more red tape to go through to make your army legal.
And I think that we could use that to kind of go into the, if you guys are okay with it, the rule of 3.
Yep.
Because I think personally that is probably the single coolest rule of all of them.
Yep. I mean, remember back in 7th, Houston ran a lot of the what is it? What's that called? There can only be one.
Oh, Highlander
tournament.
Highlander, yep.
Yeah, where you can only have like one of the things, and you had to like think about your army and stuff. This kind of does that, on a larger scale for everybody, and that 0 to 3 makes you think. Now, I think this is correct. Do not quote me. It basically somebody asked me about Lehman Russes. One of the regulars at the shop actually messaged me about Lehman Russes, and he said, well, I have these Lehman Russes, and does that mean I'm going to have 3? And I said, yes. But he said, well, on the data slate, you can have 1 to 3. So you can still bring 9 Lehman Russes and have 3 data slates being utilized. And the fact that they have the vehicle squadron special rule makes it where you can deploy them all as a unit, but then they operate separately.
And so I think that's what some people initial knee jerk is like, oh my god, I can only take 3 Lehman Russes if you're a guard player. But just like you said, that's actually completely incorrect. That's just one of your 3 because you can do it. And what happened? What people were doing is they would take 1 Russ 4 times, but they would each be their own data slate. Now you have to deploy them within a relative coherency. Excuse me. But that's what the whole grand scheme of it is it makes you think, okay, well, I can still take the 4 Russes I always take because I enjoy taking them. Now I just have to deploy them differently.
Yeah.
Now, I do have one question for y'all because I was reading some stuff. So now let's say you take a tank commander and he's in a Russ. That's a separate data slate, right? Would y'all say that is or isn't?
I would say that is its own data slate that fills the Lehman Russ category. That's how I would rule it.
Well, that also goes with the Lehman Russes. You have the battle tank and then the demolisher Lehman Russ. You have 2 different types. It has like the one with the Punisher and the one with the battle cannon, and those are 2 separate data slates as well. So if you could somehow magically fit, you could probably put 18 tanks, 18 plus another 9 for commanders, I guess.
Well, tank commanders are only one choice, so you would be
okay. Tank commander.
You could do 12. I want to say someone did just say they could take 12. The analysis probably said that wrong. Yeah, he's right. I mean, theoretically, you could do 9 normal ones. I do see them changing that, though. I think if we start seeing Russes galore, I can see them easily going in and saying tank commanders fall into the same category as Russes because they're technically in a Russ chassis.
Yeah.
So I think if people will do that, I think we'll see that. I think we'll see an influx of Russes, and then that will be taken. And then the next FAQ, that will be brought into the same category.
Man, I may actually bring this to Alamo. I got 12 Lehman Russes sitting in my little go.
Something that needs
love that.
Say what, Felipe?
I think there's something to bear in mind with the rule of 3 that needs to be brought up is that the fact that summoned units do not count towards this limit of 3. For example, I have 3 units of Blood Crushers on the table to summon 3 more units of Blood Crushers. I can because they are from a pool of reserve. They're not in the army.
Is Felipe choppy for everybody else or just me?
He is for me as well.
Okay. Yeah, your internet connection's choppy, Felipe.
Yeah,
I
understand what Felipe is saying.
Yeah, I do too.
The Blood Crusher thing. But man, I don't want that much. I wouldn't want that many Blood Crushers off the table, though, to begin with. You know what I mean?
Well, then you're putting it at risk for summoning. You're putting it at risk for not having that on the table. It's off the table. It's a points that you're hoping to fill. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, He's right, though. You theoretically could do that, but I don't know if many defense players are going to do that with the hopes that they get it. And then by turn 3, it's destroyed because it doesn't come in.
Yeah.
I just, I think, especially hardcore gamers, I think they're too stuck on, statistically what's going to work and what's not going to work. So
Right,
for that, I don't see them risking that.
The point I was trying to make was, one, they're not bound to a detachment, and two, you can have more of them. It's not just. I'm not specific. I'm just using the blood cards as an example of something you could break.
Yeah,
this
I see what you mean.
But like exalted flamers, flamer units, things that you might need. So because you can have basically a sideboard, if you will, and just I need this for this game, bring that out. It's a ballpark figure.
That's true, depending on what you need to summon that game. But yeah,
Now that you're talking about summoning, I want to bring up Death Guard. I'm a little sad about my Poxwalkers.
No, we're talking about the rule of 3. That has nothing to do with the rule of 3. Those are 3 quick.
You know how joyous it was to take my 20-man Poxwalker squad into a 30 or 40 gaunt squad and kill 15 of them and be like, and he killed 3. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm just adding 15 more. Don't worry about it. And then I take my squad of 20 to like 35, rinse, repeat. He keeps killing some. And then, are you enjoying that water, Felipe?
Oh, the tears.
I mean, it needed to be nerfed though. With all reality, it was too much. If you fought another, it was the anti-horde. If you fought another horde, I win because I get more horde than you. But if you guys don't know, basically what they did is now if you do, you can't go over your squad size. You can still go to your maximum of your 20, but if you do go over, you actually have to pay the points. So then you're just kind of risking, let's say you don't want to spend that extra 120 points for them 20 Poxwalkers, and now you're risking, though, the chance of getting 20 Poxwalkers opposed to actually just having them on the table and utilizing them. So,
yeah. I feel really bad for you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
I'm broken up inside about this. Tremendously. Okay.
All right. Is that let me see. Is that it for the big one?
Well, no, it's not. Well, who asked me about the Horus Heresy? I need to answer that question.
Oh yeah, you did get a Horus Heresy question.
Okay, so Andrew. Okay. Andrew. The books that I hate the most out of the Horus Heresy are the short stories. The short story ones where it's like a compilation of the short stories, I think I have a hard time reading those just for the fact it's not continuing on the story. It's kind of like bits and pieces, and your mind has to jump to like it could be over in this sector or whatever. So top 5 books, though. My favorite book, probably my favorite book, is Betrayer. Betrayer is probably one of the most heart-wrenching stories I've read. It's great, but it's very heart-wrenching. Okay, next is Burning of Prospero. Just amazing. Let's see here. Prospero Bones. Let's see here. Next one. Now, I'm only Angels Exterminatus. I loved that book. That book was amazing. The story and just Perturabo he's a real big bad butt in that movie. Scars is amazing. Scars is probably one of the best books I've read. But just to let you know, I'm only on book 29 now. And then I really liked The Unremembered Empire. I think that was a very good glimpse into kind of what's set up with Gilliman now in the 40k universe. Just a story about him actually trying to make an empire because he couldn't talk back to home and like didn't know who to trust. So that was kind of interesting. And Vulcan in that book is a very, very interesting character. So, but I'll say those are my top 5 books. But remember, I'm only on book 29. So I've been trying to finish off a book called Blood of Ashium. It's a Space Wolves novel. And once I start a book, I have to read it. And that book, I've had a very hard time getting through it, to be honest with you. But other than that, I just wanted to give you my top 5 books. And the books I hate the most are the short story ones or the compilation of short stories. I just don't feel like I don't like reading that. So there we go. Horus Heresy books.
I will definitely agree that I think Betrayer is probably single-handedly one of the best books in the Horus Heresy series. I love that book. I enjoy reading that book. I've read that book multiple times, and it's well worth it. Scars, I agree with too. I definitely think that was a very good book. It's a good read. I don't know. Burning of Prospero wasn't the greatest for me personally. But then again, I'm not a big fan of Thousand Suns or Space Wolves, so for me it was kind of a And I tried reading the latest Space Wolf one. Yeah, I just can't dive into it like the rest of them. I don't know what it is, but just something about it. But I also think the first Heretic was really good too.
Yes, first Heretic is good too. Like I said, I think all the Horsey books I've read, I read through them quickly. I can't actually put them down. So it's just the short story ones are the ones that I have a real hard time getting through. Nemesis, very good too.
Yep.
But yeah,
A Thousand Suns was pretty good. I think to me, I put that one better as Burning as Prospero personally.
Okay. Yeah, I just liked on Burning Prospero they actually did the battle. That was pretty epic. And Scar's the last battle between the Khan and Mortarion was amazing.
Yeah, snippet of that.
Scar was good. I like that one.
Yeah. So I'm trying to finish this book so I can go on the next book and read Vengeful Spirit because I really want to read about Horus because he was in the first 4 books very tremendously and then he's kind of gone away. So I really want to see how much chaos has actually warped that poor man.
I forget that Alan is actually just as much as a book reading fluff person as TJ.
Yeah, actually that's the hard thing for me is making a list, making a competitive list to go play against people because to me it doesn't carry any theme to it. I can't immerse myself in the army and it just makes it that much harder to paint, build. I mean, yeah, I think anybody here could easily build a meta list, but it's not really for me personally. It's so hard to do that. I've been a Corn player for almost as long as I've been playing. I've pretty much been playing Berserker since then, and it's just so hard to do a Thousand Suns World Eater Death Card list. I know that's not very good, but it's just so hard for me to do that because that's just not who I am, and I just can't wrap myself into those.
Yeah, I think that's my problem, and even my Custodes list that I'm building with Grey Knights, I don't think it's going to be that super ultra competitive. But the reason why I built it is because in the Adeptus Custodes book, they talk about a battle that was Valoris and Grandmaster Baldos got together with some sisters and some other things and took out like a whole Alpha Legion. They took out like a whole legion. And I'm just like, that would be so cool. Maybe one day I'll add some Sisters of Battle when the new models come out. But as of right now, I'm just going to combine those because I already painted Baldos. I just got to paint Valoris now so I can get them in my army. So.
Yeah, I think my next major army I'm going to do, I'm going to use the Custodes, some of the Custodes rules, but it's going to be a Custodes and Militia army. And I'm going to play them as Traitor because I'm going to make a Rick model, which is one of the last surviving Thunder Warriors. And I'll use the, I think it's Voldor rules.
Okay.
And then my Militia, I'm going to use a lot of the Necromunda models as my Militia models. I'm going to mix all of them together and make them all different. So that way looks like a bunch of gangs, essentially, that ragtag together to fight under a Rick because he's a gang boss now, a gang boss leader.
You're going to do it like Outcast Dead?
Yeah.
It's a good book. Oh, that's awesome. Yes. Andrew, yes. Aaron ADB is the man. Yeah, I think if I ever go to the UK, I want to go during a Black Library celebration. Because I think even though like the 40k, the big Warhammer Fest and all that would be really cool, I think for me it'd be cooler to like meet some of the writers. Okay, Let's stop boring everyone and let's get back to the FAQ. Jeez.
All right, so going down, looks like a lot of point changes. One of the biggest things I noticed, actually, I guess this is with the Codex drop with the Drakari, was I had a 2,000 point list that I made, and I realized the rules didn't look right using the app or whatever. And I was like, well, that doesn't match the rule in the codex. I was like, maybe there's an update. So I had my 2,000 point list. I updated it and went to 1,500 points. I was like, I get 500 more points of things to add now, you know? So with that being the point cost, it looks like, at least for Ashe Militarum, they really, really want you to play Commissars. Did you see their 15 points?
Yeah, they're down. I think a Lord Commissar was 50, I think, and then now the Lord Commissar is only 30.
Yeah.
I think it's because they were very underwhelming, so people weren't taking them.
Yep.
So I think 30 is probably more apt, and then after you add the power weapon, I think the power weapon's only a couple points. I think they're going to amount to be about 32 points, 34 points, something like that. So that's more feasible to take because now people can take that as one of your compulsory HQ, considering a company commander's 30 points, a Lord Commissar being 30. You might start seeing those.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, hold on. We're just going to bypass the whole battalion now giving you 5 command points?
Oh, you know, that big jump.
Yeah.
I'm
personally not a fan of that.
I was reading the Brown Magic, Nick Devante's article about it, and it was a good article. And yeah, he had a good point that 5 is great and all, but 4 could have been good. Like 3 was already pretty decent, but now it's like boom. They're like, you're taking a battalion. There's no other choice. Because when you're like, oh, am I going to take 1 command point for this Vanguard strike because I want to get this stuff in here, or a battalion to get my 5 or 2 or 3 battalions for that matter, filling out that troop choice, you know what I mean? You're gonna get that's 15 plus 3, 18 right off the bat for a normal game.
I feel like they should have just left it at 3 because people were already trying to find. They're already utilizing the command points anyway. So you could have just left it at 3 and people would still be happy, even if there's no change. They wouldn't even bat an eyelash at it. Now I just think what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot more rerolls. You're going to see a lot more stratagems that were probably never utilized, will probably now utilize because they have the extra points to do so.
Yep.
Which is a meta shift, though, because now people are going to be able to use those bigger ones that, I don't know, for me, I've always been like, for instance, like you're playing a very elite army, and for some reason I seem to gravitate towards elite armies. But with like Custodes as well as Grey Knights now, I feel like getting those extra 5, like those extra 2 command points, I can utilize some of the stratagems that I may have thought before. I was like, that looks really expensive. I don't want to use it. So I guess for me, I think it's kind of a good thing, but I know it's going to be super abused.
Oh, I'm looking at all the shenanigans with my Drakari right now. I'm so stoked.
Yeah, Drakari just became that could really change a lot of things quick. But I feel like they probably upgraded the battalion points because of the Drakari special patrol detachments.
Yeah, that's true.
I think the extra points that you're going to get, you might start seeing people using the auxiliary detachment that takes away a point to make up for the suit being broken. It's like, oh, I can't bring Airman anymore in my World Leader detachment for the warp time. I'll just lose 1 command point and bring a battalion of World Leaders, and I'm still up a net 1 more command point.
That is true.
That's very true.
Yeah. Yep. But back to what we said, it changes the meta. You gotta do these different things now. It's no more just build this.
This didn't change. It just moved the guy out of 1 detachment into his own detachment.
Moved him out of 1 detachment into just a single detachment now.
And he's actually even going to be more effective because now, since he's his own detachment, he gets his own Legion rule, which means warp time is now a 9-inch spell, not a 3-inch.
Yep.
I think the only thing that's going to hurt that, though, is they're limited on detachments. So you'll definitely see bigger battalions or possibly even brigades now. But then you'll probably see something like that, and then you'll see like 2 of the ones that give you a minuses, or 2 battalions and then 1 that gives you a minus. You still have a net of 3 over what you were previously seeing.
Yep.
But then we're still sitting at that 0-3. You can spread it out as many detachments as you want out of the 3 you get, you're still stuck to your data slate being 3. It doesn't matter. Oh, I have 3 detachments. Well, let's hope you put a Ravager in each one, and that's your 3. Like that's it. So it's just one of those things you got to decide what to do, and that's where I'm thinking a lot of changes are going to become whoever has the best troop choices is going to be king. You know what I mean?
Or the person that utilizes the stratagems better.
Yes.
Will definitely be the one that's going to come out on top probably 80% of the time. Kind of like the nerf to Tides of the Traders. I mean, that was a big one that was being utilized by a lot of top tier tables, and now that that's limited to just one time.
Yeah,
I think what you're going to see is now you're going to have one giant blob of cultist, and then they're going to have a bunch of little blobs just for simple purposes of filling out the minimum requirements for a battalion.
Yep.
And that blob will be the blob that your guarantee will use the Tide of Traders on.
Well, I mean, that's a lot less scary than having multiple blobs that you're trying to pick away at, and they're not going to eat away. Now you just got one blob that you're like, oh, this is the one you're going to use it on, and try to kill everything in it,
Yeah.
So it's not easy, though. I've tried it.
No, it's not. Yeah. No, it's not.
I got him down to like 7 cultists, and then he failed, and he lost like 4 more, and I was like, no.
No.
Gone and comes back. And power.
And you're back again. Damn it.
And I'm done. Oh, man. Let's see. We're still on the primary one. Oh, Dark Reapers. They increased, 7 points?
7 points.
They were 5 points, and now they're +7. They're 12 in total.
That was huge.
That's a big jump.
It is, but if you think about it, though, your unit just went up 70 points overall for a unit of 10. I think you'll still see them, but I don't think you're going to have that big unit of 10. I think you're going to have small units of 5 instead of some. Most tournament players that I've seen, especially on top tables, they usually have one giant blob of Reapers and then a couple of small ones. I think now they'll just drop that small one down to fill their points out. So they'll still have the same number of units, max 3, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be, the points will definitely be, dispersed out, and they'll focus on taking something else that's effective. It's just the nature of it. Like Shining Spears, because they didn't get anything happen to them, which probably could have helped a little bit.
That is true.
But I'm still confused, though, on the Farseer, Spirit Seer, Warlock, and Warlock Conclave, why they went up so much points. That was kind of surprising for me.
I think they were just trying to curve around the Eldar, that they were top, obviously, at LVO. And they were like, well, let's increase a few of these units to make it an overall deal. You know what I mean? Like a Farseer, Spirit Seer, and a Warlock, those are like primarily used HQs. So now they're going to off-balance some of the other points that you're going to be spending on your other stuff. That's the only way I can think of it. I do know that Warlocks were usually abused, but I think the other stuff was just like an overall mass to try to change some of the points, try to reduce it.
Yeah. That makes sense. They don't want to reduce. They want to try to make people take other units, like maybe Altox and some other things, besides everyone just taking Farseers and Warlocks,
Yeah.
I mean, because let's be honest, I mean, that meta really hadn't shifted from 7th when it comes to Eldar. It really didn't shift that much. People were still doing Warlock heavy and Farseer heavy armies. So
the Fire Raptors got increased a good bit. I think.
Yeah, they did.
I think they regretted that point drop they did initially, and then they came back and were like, maybe having 8 of them in your army is not a good idea.
Having 2 of those things is not good. Yeah.
Did the Storm Eagle go up?
Nope. No, the only thing that affected the Space Marines or Adeptus Astartes was the Fire Raptor. Same thing with Chaos. The only thing that was affected as far as Chaos Space Marines is the Fire Raptor. Gilliman to go up points. I think he went up 40 points.
Yeah.
No, he's gone up. He was 385 and now he's 400, so another 15.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Oh, I didn't
I
include
think
one.
originally, I think it was like 360 or something. So
Yes.
he's got 40 points total.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good addition to an Imperial army or like a Space Marine army if you're playing Ultramarines. But he's not like he doesn't make it's not top tier anymore. You know, really. I mean, the Ultramarines really aren't top tier anymore.
Well, I think when Ultramarines were doing so well, I think it was because they had Gilliman, and then they had I think it's Spearhead is the heavy one, so they had a bunch of Havocs, and they would just put Gilliman and a bunch of Havocs around there, and then just re-roll everything.
Yep.
And then they would usually take offensive units, a couple offensive ones, maybe a small unit of Custodes or a couple small units of like Guard or Scouts to just kind of soak up fire or go get objectives and just basically blow you off the table.
Yep.
We actually got to experience that at Warzone last year.
Oh yeah. Who did that? That was Colin, right? Colin's list.
Yep, Colin's list. He did that.
But no, I think that's the thing with Gilliman. He's not the best. He's not the best unit anymore. So I mean, him going up is good. I think he needed to go up a little bit more for what he can do, especially rerolling everything. Wounds and hits is huge, and then he can't be targeted. So I think that'll help out, you know. But still, at the same time, I mean, they took care of. They really took care of, you know, they upped a lot of Eldar stuff, right? Which was some of the people were spamming and winning with. So they've eliminated that. They basically eliminated Hive Tyrant spam, Flying Hive Tyrant spam, and then they've pretty much, and then doing that was the last two big armies, and then the Battle Brothers kind of nerfed some of those other higher overpowered lists that were kind of dominating. So, I mean, they took a look at what was going on in competitive play and definitely match play, and then kind of just pushed it out. So I'm happy with the changes. Going to feel like a whole new game the next time I play it. Because I'm going to have to redo how I'm going to think about doing deep striking and other things like that. So
yeah, I think my Scions kind of took a hit there with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So looking at the big rule book, I don't know if you guys noticed, but TJ brought it up, and the question was, if one of my units shoots an enemy unit in which only one model is visible, and I resolve the attack one at a time, slaying that model before I have resolved all of my unit's attacks, what happens to the rest of the attacks? Are they wasted? Basically, GW said, nope, you determine the number of attacks and firing units will make against the target unit before any of those attacks are made. So before any hit rolls are rolled. If you are resolving these attacks one at a time and your opponents remove the only visible model as a casualty, you still continue to resolve the remainder of the firing unit's attacks against that target. So if you got one guy out of cover and all these guys behind the wall, you shoot at this one guy with all your guns that doesn't, let's say you shoot him with a melter first and you still got a whole range of bolters, he takes off that one like, haha, I can't see. That's not how it works. You still got bolters come in, the guys can't see, which is quite interesting because that is a completely shift of, you know, you shoot what you can see kind of thing. Now, I know that still kind of applied because you killed things behind the wall, but now with the multiple different weapons and such, if you declare them all on that unit. So I guess because it's all happening at once. Anyway.
Yeah, I thought it was played the other way. So I've always thought it was, you know, if you can't see him, you can't really kill him. So for me, I was just like, oh, wow, that's interesting. I didn't realize that. So
now, I got hit with that the very first game of 40k and 8th edition. I had a unit of Poxwalkers. The guy managed to move his Punisher Russ so you could see one of the Poxwalkers. And he unloaded everything in him. And the rules stated it. The entire unit takes the hits.
yeah.
Just so they can see it.
So I thought that was kind of interesting because, you know, even though the rule book's small, there's all these nuances and stuff that I do not know about. So I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. So I felt, you know, for me, it was just, you know, one of those, oh, I didn't know that. So
I think keeping the rule the way it is, I think it's actually not a bad thing because if you think about it, you know, we all watch movies, we all watch action movies. If you have The Rock standing there with a Gatling gun and he's shooting, he sees the one person and he's just walking it and spraying in a line through the building. mean, theoretically, some bullets are going to get through and potentially kill people behind the wall. So for me, looking at it from a kind of a more fluffy player or thematic player, I think it makes sense because that's what people do. They're not just going to be like, I'm going to shoot all my bullets at that one guy. No, they're going to shoot through the walls. They're going to continue firing and kill everything. To me, it made sense, and I'm glad they didn't really make too many changes to that.
So you imagine The Rock shooting a Gatling gun?
Yeah.
Guys.
Especially when you have a Punisher. You think of a big burly guy, just blasting all the way through.
You don't think of Jesse the Body Ventura, Predator?
Arnold Schwarzenegger, get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
That's too funny.
Man, there are so many different things have changed, different questions have been answered. A lot of people, and there's just some of the stuff is changing. Some of it's like, so there's always, I guess, obviously an argument like, so 2 enemy infantry units are within 1 inch of each other and in the same piece of terrain. Do they both receive the benefit of cover against shooting attacks made in pistol by the other unit? And it's actually yes, because they're both inside the terrain. Back in 7th, if you're both in it, it just kind of negated it because you're right there in the open.
Right.
So yeah, so that's interesting. And then the other one, I'm not going to read it verbatim, it's long, but basically the question was, when it says you can shoot your pistol at the closest unit, right? And in the shooting phase, if you're in close combat and you're 1 inch from a unit, you can still shoot your pistol. But it says you can actually shoot your pistol if you're not engaged for another unit that's 1 inch away, for example, you can actually shoot in that unit. You don't have to necessarily shoot the one you're in combat with. So
that could be. I mean, that kind of takes it where the players have to, they think about it strategically. Okay, well, I'm engaged here. I'm about to fight them in close combat, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn my pistols and shoot them over there. Yeah, I mean, I like that they did that. I'm glad they didn't, they clarified that you could do that, because I've actually seen that being done before, and people are like, you can't do that. Well, no, technically per the rules you can.
Yeah. They also cleared up, Alan, I'm sure, and both of you too, Filipe, they cleared up about the, let's say your noise marine dies in the close combat phase, and you have the roll of a 6 when you're shooting. You get your last shot and roll of a 6 for the black?
Death to the traitor? Death to the false emperor?
Yeah, death to the false emperor. A roll of a 6, you get a generous additional attack. This also works for your guns.
Yes.
So, and then if you have Abaddon where it rolls on a 5, so any rolls of that 5 when shooting generates another gunshot, basically.
Yeah.
But it's still limited to, if you're in melee, shooting a pistol in melee to the unit you're engaged with.
Correct, but you can shoot your normal gun outside of combat to something else.
No, you can't, because you're engaged. By the rules of engage, if you're engaged, you cannot shoot your regular gun. You can only shoot your pistol. So you can no longer fire the sonic blaster at another unit. You can only fire your pistol, and because you're engaged, at the guys you're engaged with.
Really?
Yeah. And I did jump to the Chaos one, and there's literally 4 or 5 entries just for the Noise Marines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you can throw a grenade, and you have 3 guys that die. All 3 of them can throw grenades.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I read that one. All of them can throw a grenade.
I want to throw a grenade. They're weak. Who want to throw a grenade?
No, guard them. Frag.
All right.
What else happened?
What else is good here?
Uncle Morty.
Who?
Good old Uncle Morty.
Okay, tell me about Morty. I've read a bit about him.
So they've clarified Death to the False Emperor with Uncle Morty. When you do your reaping attack, each 6 gives you 1 base attack, not a reaping attack. You can use that base attack to take a smashing, the big eviscerating blow, or you can take another 3 reaping attacks.
That doesn't make any
Really?
sense.
So you take your, I believe it's 6 base attacks,
Okay.
reaping mode for 18 swings. Every 6 gives you a base attack, which you can take another 3 reaping attacks with.
God. That's dirty.
But they don't generate additional ones.
Yeah, themselves don't generate additional. However,
But it
if
does.
you roll hot out of your 18 swings, the odds say you're going to get, what, 2 to 3 out of those?
Oh,
And generate maybe 9?
somewhere between 23 to 25 attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs a point hike. Broken. I'm sorry.
Who said that? Who actually said that he was broken in our chat?
Chat. Somebody in the chat.
Probably the guy that probably is scared of him the most, Mr. Green Knight player over there.
Me? Nah, man. I want Morty to be an utter badass.
He should be.
He is. He should be. He should be ultimately like one of the best close combat monsters ever. Magnus, on the other hand, should go cry in a corner and cry to himself.
Oh man, that makes me sad. No more turn one-shotting Mortarion.
It can still happen. It can very well still happen.
Well, if he's close enough, yes. If you're playing the short ways, you may be okay.
What's the other thing I noticed? Oh yes. Hold on. I need my tiers for the Imperial Guard players are Esmeralda Town. Hold on.
What happened to the Imperial Guard players?
The Relic Acadia nerf. Oh, that's so refreshing. It only works 1 turn.
Oh yeah.
Turn.
Yep.
That needed to happen. I'm sorry. That was just.
Well, John makes a good point about the Relic of Acadia. We don't have, before it was the TOs always had to settle the debate between players because one player was using it the way they interpret it, another was interpreting it another way. Now it's spelled out. It's black and white, plain as day. Here it is. You don't have to worry about it no more. So I think it's a great thing. It makes our job a little bit easier.
What did the relic do?
Against Chaos, you get to reroll all misses and all wounds. You have to declare you're using it at the beginning of the turn.
That's it.
And it ends at the end of the turn. But it doesn't say you can only use it once a game.
That's for army wide?
That's for the guard.
That's what I meant. Guard army wide. Like in your whole army gets to reroll that.
One guy with this little pet rock, gets to give the entire army, doesn't have to be within 6 inches of him, the entire army gets reroll misses, reroll fail wounds.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
6 basilisks, well, not 6, but you get the idea, plus the 8 or 9 las cannons, plus everything else gets the reroll misses, reroll fail wounds.
That's like the ultimate order.
It's in an order.
It's not, no roll required, no nothing.
Really?
You can say I'm using it, and players were using it, and that's where the debate came in because the wording previously it wasn't stated if you can only use it once. So they were using it. They were trying to use it every turn against Chaos players, and now with the clarification, now it's just 1 turn, 1 time. That's it.
Against non-chaos, it allowed you to reroll 1s to hit and 1s to win.
Yep.
Jeez.
So wait a minute, it's like having a free Goleman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't have to be.
But not within 6 inches, man. That's an entire army.
Yes.
And that's with bigger guns than Gilliman's army can bring.
Yes.
Because you could use that on Baneblades and Shadow Swords, right?
Yes.
Yeah, everything.
I hope that's in the next one.
Yeah, and then imagine that with like Catachin, mana cores or something like that.
Dude. 9 death strikes.
Not that good.
Yeah. Death strikes.
You bring a unit that you or your opponent can never trust.
I know. That's the key. You really want to throw off your opponent. Mind games. What's that do? I have no clue. I don't even know if it works.
I've never fired it.
I played with it for 6 games. I've never actually once fired it because it's never gone off. But we're going to try it this time, guys.
3d6, triple ones. All right.
Yay, TJ!
And then you got to roll to hit. So you're probably going to get like 1, maybe 2 hits.
Yeah, you need 4s.
No. Depends on the turn.
That's true.
Turn 2, you need 5s. Right?
What does it need to do? Charge?
Yeah.
Charging?
It's like they're
It's
refueling.
to rev up. It's revving. Yeah, but that article was hilarious. Did y'all read that on the community site?
Yeah.
Oh, y'all had to have read that on the community site. It was hilarious.
Was that the one where they were talking about Bullseye David or something like that?
Yeah, Bullseye David.
Yeah, I remember that. I did read that. I was like, well, this is interesting.
GW satire is sometimes incredible. Oh,
I
God.
love that they troll people now. That is so great.
Oh, it's good.
Dude, so do we want to talk about the biggest FAQ release of all? The Grey Knights?
Womp, womp, womp.
It's the oldest FAQ now, and there's nothing going to be done for them.
So my favorite thing, though, was like when you're scrolling through and you're like, updated. Of course, it's written all Britishy, so it's backwards for the dates. And so you're like, updated. And you're like, oh, they just kind of stopped at Grey Knights and a few other armies. Like everybody got some love except them.
Yeah, I was like, hey, look, 2 of the armies I own got no love at all. Yay, Dark Angels, and yay, Grey Knights.
Well, at least don't own Tau. That would have been 3.
No, Tau was updated. Tau's on the front list.
They're on the list, but it's all nothing's magenta on the Tau one.
I know, but still, they were updated on 416, so they were at least updated.
The things not updated were the Adeptus Custodes, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, and Grey Knights. Everything else has some sort of update at some point.
Let's see here. TJ's army he's building now. The one he just got done getting up to 2,000 points, and the other one he built in other escalation league and got it up to 1,500 points. So, yay, TJ! Your last 3 army choices, GW hates you.
Hey, on the plus side, I just read the Death Guard, the Demon Prince of Nurgle. It says this model may either take a Plague Spewer, or it may replace a Hellforged sword with a Demonic Axe, or a second set of Malefic Talons. So you can now take a Plague Spewer with a Demon Prince. That's excellent. Look at TJ. Like click on TJ because he's so happy. Look at him.
Yay, so excited! I love Death Guard. I love Chaos.
You know what though?
I love my new World Eaters Codex.
There's one good thing to say about not showing up in an update. It didn't get nerfed.
Filipe is so right.
Silver lining. Silver lining.
And TJ,
I got gigantically nerfed.
It makes you feel better, TJ. I am right there.
Fire army can deep strike, but yet, you can deep strike in your deployment zone first turn. That's the only thing that was good for Grey Knights is you could actually deep strike and at least try to get an alpha strike now. Now it's like I'm gonna hide everything until turn 2.
If it makes you feel any better, I'm right there with you, waiting for the World Eater Codex to come out. I mean, I am.
I've got the models waiting.
Yeah,
3,000 points of World Eater / Corn Demons, and it's sitting over there now.
Actually, that bookshelf over there, in most of those cases, that is almost strictly all corn. So I am right there with you.
Now I've got a giant box of my Scarbrand box is like all full of the next batch of World Eaters, to paint more Berserkers and other things, and it's just sitting there because I'm like, I want a Codex first. I want to get excited about something.
I told him
You're just saying that because you're not too excited about you didn't get any updates.
No, I've been this way for a while when it comes to World Eaters. Jonathan thinks they're like, you should be excited about your World Eaters. I'm like, I'm not.
Okay,
I'm looking forward to a hand-drawn model. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yes.
let me ask you guys, what do you think? Back to the little bit on the deep strike thing. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen? Do you possibly see somebody that bunkers up, throwing maybe some scouts out there to push out their presence, and they know that you've got a deep strike unit, so they're going to try to basically bunker up, deny you the turn 1, turn 2 deep strike to force you to do it on turn 3, and then hopefully alpha it? Or what do you think is going to happen?
I mean, I've seen it before back when even turn 1, people would, they deployed their unit to where they deployed their armies in such a way that they couldn't get that turn 1 alpha strike off. And then basically they just kind of sat there and Ben had an opponent. He basically just kind of spread apart and his opponent just kept holding his guys. And I guess he was just expecting Ben to move. Ben didn't move. He just kept lighting everything up because he had range. And the other guy was like, oh, I'll just wait. I'm just going to – and so turn 3. So for 2 full turns, the guy didn't have half his army on the board. And then he deep strikes and tries, but at that point, it's already too late with points and everything else. Most tournament games are what, turn 3?
Now at the end of turn 3, if you have a deep strike, those units are dead. They're counted as destroyed.
Yeah.
That's always been the case, though.
Yeah.
So
I think before they weren't counted as dead, you pretty much have already lost the game because you don't have enough points to catch back up.
Yep.
right, but now you never use them now.
Well, they're counted as slain, right?
Yes, so they're gone.
Yeah.
Well, I think, to be honest with you, if you're going to play a deep strike army, heavy deep strike, you deep strike turn 1 and just do it anyways. Because, I mean, when it comes down to it, if you have half your army off the board, what are you going to do tactically? Tactically, half your army's off the board. What are you really going to do? I'm going to wait till turn 2. I'm going to let him get because in ITC, in those events, they're going to score 5 points and you're going to score maybe 1.
Yep.
And then you're already behind the 8 ball. So either you have to go gung ho and you're playing an elite army and hopefully you can take it. And maybe it's just not as effective, but you're going to have to do something.
But now turn 1, you might as well just deploy them because they're in your deployment zone now on turn 1.
It's one of those things. I mean, but you got to do something. You can't. By turn 2, you're already behind the 8 ball.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't killed anything or killed off their screening units with your units, then you're basically you've already given them the game. So it's either that or you're gonna have to or maybe you're gonna have to think about, oh well, I'm gonna deep strike these couple units as a it's one of those things. It's weird.
I think it's going to be more of a specialty thing. You know what I mean? So, for me, I'm going to have 1 unit of Scourges with blasters, right? I'm not going to need – I mean, I would love them turn 1 to come in and blow up the big, giant, nasty I need to take care of. However, they're going to be held in reserve for turn 2 to do exactly the same thing. Hopefully, I'll still get an advantage of where I need a deep strike. And then, again, I can still utilize them if they – I spread apart in such a way where I couldn't get that big tank. Okay, boom. Maybe I need to drop my objective at this point on turn 3. So I think having half of your army is going to screw you hard. That's what I think they took away big time from. Now, if you just want 1s or 2s they do one special thing that you plan on doing them with, that's where I think they're viable. I think they're trying to get away from an entire alpha strike deep striking army because that screws you bad. I mean, I played part of that with Abaddon and 3 units of Obliterators, the 3. He just popped in wherever the heck he wanted, turn 1, and I just mowed whatever I decided to mow down,
I don't know. I think I think what it does is, I think what the bad part about it is that they said at the very beginning they were going to make close combat more definitive and more powerful. And this is a shift back to shooting armies are going to blow you off the table. And close combat is still not as effective or as you'd want it to be, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Well, Viper makes a good comment. Back in 7th edition, it was the standard for all Space Marines to take a drop pod, or 3. Right? 'Cause you had 2 come in first turn, and the other ones came in. I kind of agree with him. I would be okay if drop pods had the special rule, especially for the points you pay for them, because I think they're 105 points or something like that.
yeah,
I'd be okay with them having a first turn outside deployment zone for the points you're paying.
Yeah, but then
you're paying to basically be able to drop it where you want to go. I mean, you're paying 105 points. That should allow you to drop it anywhere first turn.
Oh, I guess they don't take dreadnoughts. They don't take what are those big things that used to carry grav that no one takes anymore? Potato Marines.
Centurion? Yeah. Was it
Centurions.
Yeah, Centurions. Like people that, I mean, even Goat Boy, his whole army had a Centurion drop pod army. Like those. I had a Centurion drop pod. I had one, and that was I always called it my death squad because it would come in, destroy what needed to be done. And pretty much the whole army was like, nope.
Yep.
You'd always die. But they did their job.
But in 7th edition, at 35 points, they were a steal. Now they're like 105. I would, I have a Death Watch army, being that I would play the Death Watch army, I would take a drop pod or probably 2 just so I could have the ability to come outside my deployment zone, especially if you have a bunch of combi weaponry like combi plasma or combi melta. It would make sense. You're paying 105 points, where some units, like Scourges are a good example, they get the deep strike for free. I mean, they came in. There was no points cost. It was all already targeted their points, and those are relatively cheap units.
Yeah.
So for a Space Marine unit, just one unit, to be able to come in outside the deployment zone for 105 points, I mean, I feel like that's a reasonable tax to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, all you can drop anymore now anyway is troops, right? Like your vanguards, your.
You still have access to the Forge World drop pod, so you can still get your Dreadnought drop pod if Forge World ever makes those again.
Probably won't ever happen.
I mean, I think the most disappointing thing, with the whole tactical reserve thing is like the rule says, it's like teleport strike. The rule states during deployment, you can set up this unit in the teleport chamber instead of placing it on the battlefield. You can set it anywhere in the battlefield within 9 inches. So it's just, it kind of takes a rule and just like throws it out the window. So I guess I'm just confused on, so what? Gene Stealers have that same rule, Gene Stealer cults, right?
Gene Stealer cult actually gets around it. They specifically mentioned Gene Stealer
cult. But that's my point. Why?
Well, they said in that live interview that's just how they play. That's literally what the guy said.
Yeah.
That's just how they do, So I was like, oh.
It's
okay.
And another thing, I mean, like when it comes to the Grey Knights, right? That's really their strength, They're supposed to be advanced. I mean, that's a special rule they should have. It's an army-wide rule at the very beginning. So I'm just kind of, that, and then like when you really think about it, it's like, so one of the most fluff things is Ravenwing and Deathwing working together for Dark Angels, right? There's no stratagem where you're like, you have a unit of Ravenwing bikes and you can deep strike a unit of Deathwing Terminators right beside them, no matter where they're at on the board. Which makes absolutely no sense because when you read the fluff in the Codex, they talk about that in both sections. And then they didn't even include it in the rules. So it's just one of those things where you're looking at it and you're just kind of like, they talk about, like they brought a lot of stuff in fluff into games with strategism and stuff, but it's like one of the key things is, they haven't done that, which is kind of disappointing, I guess, in my eyes.
I'm okay with something like a teleport homer type rule to work more like the Demon Summoning rule, where you could take a Terminator squad and deep strike it in as if the same way a demon unit summoned.
Yep.
Teleport homer. Turn 1, you can get your guy out there and use a teleport homer.
Yep. So I don't know. It's just one of those things. I just think there's I know what they're trying to do with it. I just think it's hurt. They need to review who they're going to let do it and who not.
I think it hurts some armies. I think it hurt more armies than none. But I think what happens is players inherently abuse the rule, and when they abuse the rule, that's when it just kind of becomes this is the norm because it's been abused by everyone.
They even went ahead and took the nerf a little bit further with warp time, because now they specifically stated warp time. Sorry, you deep struck. You cannot move, and the only other move you can do is a charge. That's it.
Yep.
You can't get the warp time move anymore when you deep strike.
Yep.
Well, because again, that was abused. You know what I mean?
Well, it was the whole Abaddon, bunch of Terminators with Combi Plasma, Combi Meltas, and Combi Flamers, and Sorcerer warp time them forward. And now, turn one, they're just unloading on whatever and charging into melee turn one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Terminators in general, is with that type of setup, you're going to see a shift in their weapons. You know, a lot of people might be magnetizing their models, so all those different combi weapons are probably being popped off as we speak. And a lightning claw is being put in that arm now. So it's just shifting what the build that's going on with most people. And I think that's what, probably what set the world on fire so much is because people have to go buy more stuff or remodel. If they didn't pin, or if they didn't use magnets, then they just erg in frustration. And it's something that people, again, like we said at the very beginning, people will just adjust to, and we'll see something else come up that they weren't expecting.
I magnetize everything, and I don't use plastic glue. I always get asked, why don't you use plastic glue? It's because, I want to pop off my weapon if I need to. You plastic glue it, you're breaking that weapon. So
a lot of people don't understand, especially people that have been playing for a long time that have gone through multiple editions and had the same army through multiple editions.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's almost to be expected that you're going to have to break off some arms.
Yeah.
If you don't use the right glue, when you go to take that arm, you're going to snap it right there. Boom,
yep.
Gone. So, yeah, that's very, very, very frustrating. I can't even tell you how many different arms I've replaced on Berserkers and various models from years of playing. It's very aggravating. eBay is my friend when it comes to buying bits that I'm missing that I break.
The funny part is, Alan, I did back in 5th edition on my Space Marine army. I had 3 units of normal troops, and I did them 10 units each. What I did is because I was like, you know what? I didn't really know about magnets back then, so I didn't know about the magnetizing. So I was like, well, I need to have all the special weapons. So I built a separate Marine with a plasma gun, separate Marine with a melta gun, and separate Marine with the with the flamer. And I was just like, well, now I have a squad of 13, but I have all the weapon options I need.
Yeah, I had 5th edition when I started my Chaos Army. I did Black Legion, and then 6th edition rolled out, and I was like, man, this Nurgle looks pretty cool. So literally, I took my Black Legion, and I was like, green stuff, Plague Marines, and I repainted them. So.
Yeah, that's always good when you go from relatively clean Chaos Space Marines to mutated, pus-filled Death Guard.
They're great.
Oh, so pus-filled and gross. And then you make them slimy, too. It's so weird.
That's the point.
Hey, Leon joined us all the way from South Africa. I guess he woke up. Or he's going home. Something.
He sets an alarm.
Sets the alarm now?
He leaves in 10 minutes. And we're about to go to bed.
I'm leaving for home in 10 minutes. That's exactly what he said.
That's awesome. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, this FAQ is it's going to take about a week for me to digest it all.
I'm excited.
I'll probably be going up to my local game store and getting some games in, hopefully. I usually don't play much. I usually play at my house, but I think this weekend I'll actually be testing lists against other people instead of myself.
Good.
Yeah, I'm going to try to, hopefully me and Jonathan can get a game on Saturday night of the store, right?
Yeah, I'm going to try to.
Yeah.
I have a lot of IKEA furniture to build Saturday.
I've got kids stuff and soccer games. So up until about 3, and then I'll be free for the rest of the night, I hope.
My wife is heading to Fredericksburg Thursday, so my Friday night and Saturday night are pretty. Actually, all day Saturday is pretty much I can do whatever I would like. So I telling my son that we'll probably head up there and get some games in. He won't play.
Lucky.
If she's watching, she's probably like, "Why is he bringing it up? What the hell?"
Well, she's going to Fredericksburg. That's a good thing.
Yes, she's gonna go spend time with her mom and drink some wine, a bunch of wine.
That is good.
So it gives me perfect time for me to get some gaming in, which is much needed with these new rules, especially running a tournament in 2 weeks, a week from Saturday.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I got to get those. Well, I put together my last jet bike on the show, so now I got to get the bases done tomorrow, and then I can start painting my jet bikes. And so those should be ready in 2 weeks in time for the tournament. That'll get my Grey Knights list and everything up to 2,000 points. So
nice. Yeah, I was actually modeling yesterday and the day before, working on my Horsehair Warrior Army. I got officially 3 colors on the last couple units that I was going to be taking in my list because I hopefully plan on going to August. I'm going to Seattle to play in an event up there. So,
oh, nice. Wow, yeah, that's cool. Seattle, that's a fun town.
It's great. I go up there yearly. My best friend lives up there, and I just enjoy playing up there. Their community is totally different than down here. Down here, everybody's so competitive. Up there, it's like, let's have a beer. Let's throw some dice. Whatever happens, happens. I don't really care.
But I noticed that about like Phil the Glacial Geek came from Alaska. Those guys are super close knit because I guess they're in Alaska, so they don't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah.
And so like Phil, I was talking to him at LVO, and he was like, "Yeah, man, it is great. You know, I guess the community came together when his channel came up and stuff. So it's always good to hear things like that. And the community, you know, I'm part of their group, and their community is great. They seem really good up there. So it is funny the different pockets of different communities around the United States, and even in England, I had a friend over there, Zach. He was talking about, I was like, I don't get it. Like, Americans are so competitive. Like, they're like mean competitive. Like, there's one, you know, you be competitive, but then there's like bad spirited competitive. Yep. And he said a lot of Americans are like that. But he said, surprisingly, we're very polite. So that's what he said. They're surprised that we're very polite.
So I play an event up there. It's a OFCC event. It's actually, they tailor it to be not competitive. Like they actually grade all the lists off of a tier system. So they look at your list and they see how competitive it is. You know, bringing like Reaper spam would not be allowed. They would actually reject your list and make you resubmit a new list. You know, when you do that, you actually have games that you can enjoy. And that's the one thing I feel like is lost, especially here in the Houston area. And even in the Houston area and Southern California, is you lose a lot of the like friendly games and having good time because it's like, let me see that rule. I don't believe you. Where is it at? That's not how I read it. And, you know, it's like, you know, if you say that's what the rule, cool. I'm okay with it. If you kill me, it's great. I don't care if I lose. I'm about having fun, enjoying the hobby and enjoying the game. So it's just different mindset everywhere, it seems.
Leon says in South Africa, we have the win at all cosplayers at one club, and then we have my club, which is by invite only, but it's all no. People are chatting. I moved up. It's all good friends. So,
and see, right there, like Leon says, it's more about chat, drinking beer while watching a rugby game, and barbecuing while playing 40k. You know, I'm okay with that. You know, I'm completely okay with that. It's about having a good time. It's about enjoying yourself, and it's meeting new people. You know, the guys up there in Seattle and Vancouver, Washington, you know, a lot of those guys are my really close friends. I really enjoy playing with them, gaming with them. You know, when I go up there, I'll bring my army. Even if I'm not just there to visit, I'm going up there to play a game because they're so cool and so laid back, and you can really create that new, you know, a new friendship. Where if I were to bring like some of the, you know, just like John says here, Houston is extremely competitive. If I were to bring some of the competitive lists that we've seen here in Houston and go up there, I wouldn't get any games in, and then people wouldn't even talk to me. It'd be like, you are that guy. And I think people don't need to be that guy. And I think that's ultimately what GW is trying to do with the FAQ and these changes, is trying to make it where people are not that guy, and they can have fun games.
Yeah.
I think I'm on your end, Alan. I just even when I go to LVO, my games turn into those just fun games because I don't care. I mean, Jonathan brags on me all the time. I mean, he's just like, TJ, why are you telling me what to do or telling people they missed something? I'm like, because I don't care.
During a tournament, he's like, hey, you forgot to shoot that unit. I know we're already in the assault phase, but did you want to shoot him? I'm like,
well, in all honesty, though, I mean, when TJ goes to these events like LVO and stuff like that, he probably doesn't do very well, but I guarantee it. He made an acquaintance. It might not be a friend, but he made an acquaintance with the guy because that guy won. So of course he's happy because he won. But he's like, yeah, I forgot to shoot this unit. I'm like, go ahead, shoot it away. I don't care if you kill more of my guys. You know, and that kind of gives it more of the, to me, I feel like those games are way more memorable for players when it's like, man, I forgot that rule. And the guy's like, dude, go ahead and do it, man. I killed like 3 guys. Go ahead and make those saves again. Yeah. It's more memorable for them. And they were like, man, that guy from Houston? He was awesome. They're not thinking about that guy that they totally raffle stomped and was pissed off and questioned every rule. No, he's thinking about TJ, the guy that had a good fun time. He was very spirited. And he was like, hey, that's all about having fun, right?
Yeah.
Might as well.
My best game actually was at LVO was a guy from Oklahoma. He had a whole Primaris armory with Gilliman, beautifully painted. So that just made me super enjoy it. And then I ended up tabling him. But we had the best time. Like, he told his kids he's like, this is Jonathan from FFP Wargamers. I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool. I gave him some swag. And then, like, he actually messaged. He's like, hey, we'd love to come down, because I didn't know he was a fan, right? I didn't know they watched the channel. So I could have just been like, oh, I'm a dick. I'm going to beat him, And then he'd be like, wow, he's a dickhead person, Like, I'm glad we just had a good time. And even though he lost, we just had fun, or he forgot to do something. I was like, man, you would have. The guy was totally cool because we both had back and forth, basically. Oh, I forgot to do this. You would have done it. It's something if you forgot it, and you would have done it if you just remembered it. You know what I mean? It was fine. So, and we had a couple of beers. It was just a lot of fun. So that's probably my most memorable game. And then meeting his kids too was pretty cool. So,
I think one thing that people need to think about too is you might forget something. But a lot of people talk about how they're great players. And, I'm a great player. I've been playing this game for 80 years, and I'm like one of the best players. Even the people on the top table, if you're so great and if someone forgot it, you let them do that, then you could still try to win the game, even though they forgot it and that was crippling to you. Let them do that and still be that great player that you are and still beat them despite the fact that they messed up. No. That, I think, is a sign of a really good player is when they like, oh, man, you forgot to shoot that unit. Go ahead and shoot that unit. And now in your mind, say, okay, well, I'll let him shoot that unit. He's going to kill this number of guys. How can I go ahead and circumvent that and take that out? And instead of like, oh, you forgot. No, it's gone. Sorry, can't do it. That's just – it hurts the game, unfortunately.
Yeah. Plus, it helps. It's a 1-for-1. You forget, right? And they let you go back. And then when they do something, they're like, oh, man, I forgot. But like, hey, you know what? You give me my one. Go for it, bro. So it's like, even though it's something they're like, oh, please don't kill my warlord with one more wound because you forgot to shoot your Melta. Like it's one of those things. Just he forgot. And you forgot. So it's it's a trade off.
Yeah, and I think what happens now is a lot of people are like, okay, they see that they didn't shoot that unit, right? And they're like, man, I hope he forgets. Yes, he forgot. He does his turn, and then when he starts his next turn, that's when he goes ahead and tells them, oh, by the way, you forgot to shoot that unit last turn.
Yep.
Well, why didn't you tell me that beforehand so I could have done that instead of being that guy that just kind of shunned it and was like, no, I want to win. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
I've had those games, man. Or someone wants to tell you how you played your turn wrong after your turn. You're like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. That's helping me learn about the mistake I made. Aggravating.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I totally got off topic.
Dude, we always get off topic. Yeah. We actually have been staying on topic for a good solid hour, and then about 30 minutes of the rest of that gets off. But however, I don't want to cut the show, but it is running late. We have 20 live viewers now. It's great.
Yeah, it's like David brought up at Alamo GT, they're going to have beer and everything right there. Yeah, yep. I'm going to have 2 drinks and be like white girl wasted, so it'll be fun.
TJ gets white girl wasted. He's like, oh, I had a mimosa. Woo!
Yeah, I have no tolerance. The Asian side of me just kicks in. I have no tolerance.
So just curious, when you're drinking your mimosa, do you pinky up when you drink the mimosa?
No. When I'm drinking my scotch on the rocks, right?
Oh, okay. I'm just making sure.
It's got to be 12-year-old, blah, blah, blah.
It smells like mahogany and oak.
It smells like oak.
Amazingly enough, we also did not go off topic with stuff like Harry Potter taking the ring to Mount.
The what? I didn't hear that last part.
You haven't gone so far off topic with totally off of 40k, like Harry Potter taking the ring to Mount Doom type thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's such a great movie, man. I love Star Trek.
I love when Captain Kirk helps Frodo, and he takes and throws the TARDIS into the volcano. That's the best part.
But don't forget you had the android come in, and then Frodo stabbed him with a lightsaber, right? That was.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Dude, that was emotional.
Yeah. Oh man. And when Sam carried John Luke Picard up that mountain.
Oh, yeah. Spoiler. That's spoilers.
So why is Captain Picard climbing the mountain?
No, I cried when Sam took him up the mountain. I love Sam. I love Sam, man. I love that guy. Anytime I see that guy in a movie, I just think, good old Sam.
What about when he died in, what was that movie? What was that series on Netflix?
Oh my God! Don't say it. Don't say it because you're going to ruin it for a lot of people. Don't do that,
dude. It's been 6 months since that aired.
Yeah, but still, I would be upset because I finally got to see it.
Oh.
I watched it all, but it was a couple of weeks ago. I just binge watched it. So
you finally watched Stranger Things season 2?
Yes, I did.
Dear God, about time.
Hey, you know what? I haven't seen any of the Hobbits yet.
Well, there's a battle at the end. There's a dragon.
Is that?
And Bilbo gets
no spoiler or anything.
Spoiler: there's a lot of CGI.
Hey, guess what? Bilbo gets a ring. Okay. Spoiler. God. Oh my God.
All right, guys. So I guess that's a good closing there. So we appreciate everybody who was watching and still watching and participated in the live chat. As always, be sure to like the video and subscribe if you like our channel. We have a lot of good stuff. Fridays are battle reports or tutorials, as well as Tuesdays at 9:30 Central U.S. time is our live show where we usually always stick on topics, and we're as well as having new guests that are people that are in our community that are content providers or other people that do stuff for the community. So that's a new thing we're doing. So please be sure to check out our Patreon page too. We started getting a lot of good supporters that are helping us out. We actually were able to buy new dice for the channel.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. And so anything that gets sent in through Patreon really just goes directly back to the channel for new equipment, lighting. And now that we got the studio set up, we're actually going to be setting up an entire live system where we're going to be adding Magic, live games of 40k, Age of Sigmar, Shadespire, Blood Bowl. There's going to be everything in that room, and it's going to be live. So it's going to be a lot of fun. That'll be added addition to our stuff on the channel. So if it's during the week or the weekend, it'll just be uploaded automatically, all live. Do be aware, we are not going to be able to edit it. So it's not going to be as PC and language friendly sometimes, depending on the players, because we will have guest players. But any FMP members, we always keep it clean.
Yep.
We always keep it classy.
We'll tell our guest people that, they got to keep it PC.
Yep.
So.
But there'll be slip-ups, but we'll keep it classy.
Slip-ups.
Makes me wonder if I said anything inappropriately.
Nope.
You don't watch what I say.
Nope, you did good. Nothing.
Sorry if I did.
Yeah, I think everyone was really good. I almost slip almost every show, so don't worry about it.
Yep. All right, guys. So everyone, thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. Have a good night.
See y'all.
Bye.
Bye.